decide someone's still fit to hold that kind of license and serve the public?
Renee, you have to remember that we cannot institute cases. We can only deal with cases that are brought before us. And they come before us in one of two ways. Either an applicant has refused the license or refused renewal, and then he applies to us to have that license renewed, or it's brought by the city who says, we think you should take a look at this man's license. So until the case comes to us, we have no power to investigate or to call anybody in.
I think the one that made an impression with a lot of people, according to a Star investigation today, was the case of one man who was charged in 2000 with sexually assaulting a young girl, 13 years old, with the mental capacity of a 5-year-old, charged in 2000, convicted in 2005, but it wasn't until 2008 that he was flagged and brought before the tribunal. You ended up taking his license away, but why that length of time? Why does it take so long to get someone like that out of a cab and away from serving the public?
Rena, I cannot explain that because we have no control over that, because we can only deal with the cases that come to us. So if they're not brought to us, we have no way to deal with them. And the answer to why it took so long has to go back to the city licensing department to inquire what it was that delayed bringing this case forward.
And what about, and the city says it sends you hundreds of cases a year.
Yes.
I think one estimate had it at just over 300, and only 50 or so licenses are actually revoked or taken away. So what are your parameters? How do you decide that a conviction is strong enough that this person should no longer be driving a cab in our city?
Rena, let me say at the outset that the vast majority of people who we allow licenses to be issued to or to retain licenses never come before us again. So our success rate in that regard is very high. Essentially what we're trying to determine is, can this person carry on his business without risk to the public? And in most cases, we find that is the case because we have the power to put people on probation, to impose conditions, and most of the time those are complied with. Almost all the time they are complied with. So you have to remember here that everybody prima facie is entitled to a license and needs to work. And these people come before us, they are dependent upon whatever it is they're doing for their living. They have dependents at home, children. They often have no other way of making a living, either because of age or training or education or whatever it may be. So to deprive them of a license results in very serious consequences, not only for them, but for dependents and other people. And then you've got another issue. If you deprive somebody who's been doing bad things, and he has no other way of making a living, drug dealing, for example, will he go back to drug dealing? So you have to consider all of these parameters and influences when you make this decision.
All right.
I'm satisfied that we do make the right decision almost every time, simply because we don't see recidivism.
All right. Lionel Miskin, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time.
You're very welcome.
All right, Gurdeep, back to you.